The moment I heard my sister-in-law's voice trembling on the phone, I knew whatever she was about to say would change my life forever. I never thought my life would fall apart because of a single phone call, but that's exactly what happened. My wife and I have been together for over 10 years. We have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. They're my whole world. She's a stay-at-home mom, and I work long hours to make sure they have everything they need. The house, the bills, the little vacations. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable, and I thought we were happy. Now don't get me wrong, our marriage wasn't perfect. We had our ups and downs like any couple. Arguments about small things, who forgot to take the trash out. Why she spent too much time on her phone, why I worked too much. But in my mind, none of it was enough to break us. I trusted her, I believed in her. Then my phone rang. I glanced at the screen, it was my sister-in-law. That was strange, she and I weren't exactly close. We only really spoke during family gatherings or when my wife put her on the phone. Still, I picked up, "Hey, what's up?" At first, she didn't say anything, just silence. Then I heard her take a shaky breath. Her voice came through, low and hesitant. "I don't know how to say this," she started. "Then don't," I half joked, trying to lighten whatever mood she was in. She didn't laugh, instead, there was a long pause. "It's your wife, she's been cheating for months." At first, I almost laughed, not out of amusement, but because the idea itself felt ridiculous. My wife, the woman who stayed home with our kids, who barely had time for herself. It didn't make sense. But the more she spoke, the more her words started to cut through my disbelief. She wasn't exaggerating, she wasn't mistaken. She was telling me something she had been holding in for too long. My mind started racing, dragging up memories I hadn't questioned before. The quick errands that somehow stretched into hours. The way she had started looking forward to social events when she used to hate going out. The shift in her mood, distant at home, barely present. But coming back from those outings almost glowing. It was like puzzle pieces falling into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. I had ignored all of it. But now, hearing this, I realized how blind I had been. But still, I didn't want to believe it. I told myself there had to be some kind of mistake. That my sister-in-law was either misinformed or had some twisted reason for saying what she did. Why would she betray her own sister like this? What did she have to gain? The more I thought about it, the less sense it made. If this were some petty grudge or jealousy, why now? Why risk shattering our entire family over something that wasn't true? The weight of that realization sat heavy in my chest. She wouldn't have told me if she wasn't sure. But I couldn't just take her word for it. No matter how real her pain sounded, no matter how much her voice trembled. I needed to see it for myself. If I confronted my wife without proof, she'd deny it. I could already hear her voice, calm and collected, calling her sister a liar. Spinning the situation back on me, making me look paranoid. I refused to give her that chance. If she was innocent, then I'd live with the shame of ever doubting her. But if she wasn't, I needed to be ready. The next weekend, I had time to go get a tracker. I opened her car door and slipped a small GPS tracker beneath the dashboard. I worked quickly. If she had nothing to hide, she would never know it was there. I would check it a few times, ease my paranoia, and move on. But if she was guilty, then at least I wouldn't be the fool in the dark any longer. The first few days after installing the tracker felt like an eternity. I checked it sparingly, each time her car was exactly where she said she would be. Grocery stores, school pickups, the occasional coffee shop. For a brief moment, I almost felt foolish. Maybe I had let suspicion get the best of me. Maybe my sister-in-law was wrong. Maybe my wife really was just running errands, living her life while I played detective in the background. But then came Monday morning. I was at work, halfway through a report, when a nagging feeling told me to check the app. I pulled out my phone, opened the tracker, and froze. Her car wasn't at home, it wasn't at the grocery store. It wasn't at our kids' school. It was parked at a hotel across town. My stomach dropped. I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering in my ears. She had waited for me to leave. The moment I stepped out for work, she had driven straight there. No errands, no school drop-offs, no excuses, just a direct route to a hotel. I clenched my jaw, willing myself to stay calm. But my hands were already dialing my sister-in-law. She picked up after the first ring. I didn't ask if she was sure anymore, I knew. Instead, I told her where my wife was and that I needed her to meet me there. If this was real, if everything she had told me was the truth, then she needed to see it with her own eyes too. When my sister-in-law and I arrived at the hotel, we sat in the lobby. Both of us tense and silent. The place was quiet, apart from the occasional sound of footsteps or muffled conversations from the reception desk. My hands were clasped together, my knee bouncing slightly, but I forced myself to stay still. My sister-in-law sat beside me, arms crossed, her face unreadable. She hadn't spoken much since we arrived, but she didn't need to. The tension between us was enough. We were both here for the same reason. I pulled out my phone, inhaled deeply, and dialed my wife's number. My voice came out calm, steady, too steady. "Hey babe, I came home and couldn't find you. Something happened at home. Where are you? Can you come back now?" There was silence on the other end. Then I heard a shuffle, the sound of sheets moving, hurried footsteps. Her breath hitched slightly before she finally spoke. "I'll be home soon." Her voice was rushed, nervous. Not even bothering to ask what had happened, she just needed to leave fast. I ended the call without another word and slid my phone back into my pocket. My sister-in-law let out a slow, shaky breath beside me. I could feel the tension in her body, the same burning anger that was simmering inside me. A few minutes passed, then the elevator dinged. We both turned to look as the door slid open, and there she was. My wife stepped out quickly, adjusting her dress, running her fingers through her hair, smoothing it down. She was in a hurry, probably still piecing together the excuse she was going to give me when she got home. Then she finally looked up. The second she saw me, she froze. Her entire body stiffened. I saw the panic in her eyes, the sheer, unmistakable horror of a person caught in the act. Her mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Then her gaze shifted. She saw her sister sitting next to me. Whatever excuse she had been preparing in her head, it died right there. There was nothing left to say, there was nowhere to hide. Beside me, my sister-in-law's whole body trembled with barely contained rage. Her voice was sharp, "Tell him who you're here with." And then, as if on cue, the elevator doors behind her slid open once more. Out stepped him. I barely registered his face before my wife spun around, her breath hitching in her throat. Her body stiffened, and her shoulders tensed. It was a reaction of pure panic, the kind that only comes when you realize the walls have closed in and there's no way out. I took a look at the man standing there, my wife's lover. But not just some random man, her sister's fiancé. The weight of the betrayal hit me all over again, like a second, harder punch to the gut. The world around us seemed to blur. No one else existed at that moment, just the four of us. Surrounded by the wreckage of lies. My wife turned back to me, her lips parted as she struggled for words. She knew she couldn't deny it, not with him standing right there. So instead, she did what cheaters always do, she tried to shift the blame. "You don't give me attention anymore," she blurted out. I was lonely. I didn't mean for this to happen, it just. Her words were painful to my ears. The audacity of it all. The woman I had dedicated my life to, the mother of my children, tried to justify the months of deception with me as the problem. But before I could even respond, my sister-in-law stepped forward. Her voice shaking, not from sadness, but from pure, unfiltered rage. "You've been lying to both of us," she spat, eyes burning with fury. "Do you even know how long I suspected him? How long I have protected you? I told you to leave my man, but you refused. You told me it was nothing. You let me plan a whole future with him while you were sneaking around behind my back." Her voice cracked on that last sentence. And for the first time, I saw the hurt beneath the anger. She wasn't just furious, she was shattered. And she had every right to be. I turned back to my wife, who stood there with her mouth open, eyes flicking between the two of us, as if trying to gauge who was more likely to forgive her. She still didn't get it. As I stood there, looking at the woman I had built a life with, the mother of my children, all I felt was numbness. It was like standing in the aftermath of an explosion. Everything around me was in ruins, but my mind was unable to process the destruction. My wife had destroyed our family. My sister-in-law had lost the man she was supposed to marry. And me, I had lost something too. Not just my marriage, but the illusion I had been living under. The belief that my love and loyalty meant something. I had spent years providing for a woman who, in the end, had chosen to betray me in the worst way possible. And now I stood at a crossroads, uncertain of what came next. I could walk away, cut my losses, and leave her behind. Thinking only of my kids, they didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of this mess. But staying for their sake, pretending things could ever go back to normal, felt impossible. I could expose her, let the world see her for what she really was. The devoted stay-at-home wife and mother, a lie. The woman who smiled at family gatherings, pretending to be the perfect partner, a fraud. I could make sure that when people looked at her, all they saw was the truth. Or I could seek revenge. But what would that even look like? An affair of my own, destroying her financially and emotionally. Maybe I wanted her to feel the weight of this betrayal. To experience the pain she had so carelessly inflicted on me. But would that really change anything? Would it make me feel whole again? That's why I'm telling you this story. Because I don't know what the right answer is. What would you do if you were me? Some say forgiveness is for the strong. Others say betrayal should never be forgiven. I used to believe that love could overcome anything. Now I'm not so sure. When trust is shattered, can it ever be rebuilt? But when children are involved, does the choice become different? I want to hear from you. What do you think I should do?